Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in. Check out your boy, P-Farm, thinking right out here in the lab, in the book, wrapping up this myth in Orthodox religion. Myths are in all religions. So for all you Bible thumpers who think the Bible's literal, this should take care of that nonsense. Let's go. It ain't what I say, it's what the professionals tell you. Okay, let's go. Rightism. 25 rules to live by. Storytelling. Story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You tune and receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission, and I'm on it, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline practiced daily will help and guide you to attain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. You see where we're going with this? Let's get that together. So I ask the question, do you know you? You will when I'm through. Yeah, that's what I do. It's rhetorical, but if you know how to answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. Let's go. Know thyself. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not, foolish, disregard them. A lot of them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not. It's simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous, avoid them. I do. Every now and then you run into a few that you handle them. A person who knows not, a person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm your spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself and to my yacht be true. Right thinkers, the title of myth that's in all Orthodox religion, and it's a 3-phase concept for practicing religion. Don't care what you think, how you feel, you got to learn the myth. The story is a myth. Jesus Christ, a myth. Not a person, a myth. The ritual, practice the myth. Become Christ-like. The myth, not the man. You, the man. Mysticism, and something, if you do that, something will magically happen. Kundalini will wake up and rise. That dormant in the spine of your backbone, in the sacrum, that's the Kundalini serpent. And it only rises when you do what? Live right. So that's the concept. And every religion tells you the same thing. Live right. So let's go. You could say a bunch of different things, a bunch of different ways, but it all come out the same. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. And God is that. As previously discussed, this last phase, the last summer, we done with the myths, hopefully. Yeah, we had something else. Okay, yeah, we got, all right, we can wrap this myth thing up. All right, but myth, ritual, then mysticism. First degree, second degree, third degree. Amen Ra Pata. You can slice this pie any way you want. So let me break it down for you. Hopefully you get the better understanding. That book, the Bible, is the book of allegorical, mythological stories. Meant to what? Enlighten you, improve you, if you what? Follow the tenets that is set forth, the commandments that they give you. Moving on. All of them work. Keep telling you that. Now, as we discussed in its complete form earlier, religion, whether you be Christian, Muslim, or Jew, is composed of 3 aspects. Metaphysical, that's the myth, the story. The ritual, that's the practicing of the myth and putting it into practice, and that's the ritual. And then the metaphysical, or what they call the mystical experience. Mysticism, mystical philosophy, and mystical philosophy is the basis of all myths. Religion. It is expressed in rituals and experience in a what? Metaphysics, spiritual discipline. I tell you, I practice Maya. It keeps me spiritually disciplined. It's a form of yoga. Okay? You can practice that. Now, of the given religion. And I don't hear Christians push meditation. Okay? In the East, they big on that. Why? They know how to commune with their higher self on a better level than we do. Now, why many religions, again, all religions contain ritual traditions and metaphors and myths. No religion is literal. There are few professionals who are trained in what? Truly understanding their deeper aspects and the psychological and the implications, metaphysics, and the mystical aspects of the myths and the stories that we use from ancient times. I've studied them, I learned them, I understand them, trust me. Thus, there is a what? With most religious people, there is a disappointment, a stage of frustration, and more important, disillusionment amongst what? Many religious followers, as well as the religious leaders within many religions. I'm not saying that, I'm reading it from the book. If this is you, don't be offended or mad at me. Just somebody know what you're doing, okay? And particularly where? In the Western Hemisphere. I tell you, the Eastern, they practice a whole different concept. It's more philosophical and more implemented and living it than believing a whole bunch of superstition stories that you think really. Moving on. All right, or believe it really happened. It's a story. Get over it. And thus, the disappointment, and you got many misunderstanding from the followers and many even the leaders, and particularly in the Western Hemisphere. Why? Because it is difficult to really evolve spiritually. Why? Without the proper spiritual guidance. If you got a preacher who preaching and ain't living what he preaching, you got another preacher who preaching and living it. Which one you gonna go to? I know a bunch of people. I asked about if you on your dying bed, you want my dude or you want I want your dude. Yeah, you want somebody who you believe is a God-fearing man who talks to God. I know that much. So it's your discernment that got to get better for who's telling the truth and who's lying. So therefore, it takes introspection and spiritual research. It is possible to now discover what? Mythological vistas within the religion, meaning understand the story. That's the pastor's job on Sunday, is to break the story down, give you understanding, and use it as a teaching tool. He does that spot on. So that's what it's all about. I get it. I understand it. Oh, yeah. And it's another phase of teaching. Again, his ministry is in the church. My ministry is here on the streets, outside the church. That's what they call me, the evangelist. But when you have you do your spiritual research, now it's possible for you to personally discover the mythological vestas within the religion, meaning understand it, and which can what? Rekindle the light of what? Spirituality, and at the same time increase your possibility of what? Gaining a fuller and better experience in life. If you practice a philosophy that puts you in a better position, if you follow religion that puts you in a better position, what's the difference? There is none. That's the point. So whatever you do, following it is important and doing the things you need to do, and that's how you reap the benefits. But in spirituality, at the same time, you increase the possibility of gaining a fuller, better experience in life. The good life. I tell people, I'm blessed on a daily basis. How much better can life get? I know people who do the same thing, but with religion, is pretty much an esoteric, outer, ritualistic form of religion with which most people are familiar with. Everybody know the story. Everybody go to church. Everybody practice the ritual, okay? But how many of y'all just going through that motion? And doing that, guess what? That's just the tip of the iceberg. You just get started. That's elementary there, Watson. So watch this. So to speak, just learning them things, that's 2 levels. Just like the Masonic order. Guys come in and get the 1st degree, 2nd degree, and for some reason don't come out for the 3rd. But they'll go around and perpetrate like they're all Master Masons. That's ridiculous to me. And watch this. It's only the beginning and sort of an invitation or a prompting for you to what? Seek a deeper esoteric, that's my neighborhood. I give you the esoteric, the hidden meaning behind the stuff that you don't have a clue about. That's what I do for you. That's symbology. And when you when you get the esoteric knowledge, it's a discovery of what? Of the transcendental truths of existence. Knowing thyself, knowing God for yourself, knowing you are God are one, that's the transcendental or transpersonal, because it is between you and your God. We can all discuss and talk about God, but every individual has their relationship with God for themselves. That's the difference. And when you understand and learn that, you ain't caught up with he's this and she's that, I'm this. Just live right. Just show it. That's it. You're going to talk about it, be about it. And within, watch this. Now, while on the surface, it seems that there are many differences. There are many differences between the religious philosophies. But upon closer reflection and introspection, check it out, there is only one major division. Let's go. And that is belief, which is theism. Your system of religion is based on theism. Okay? Belief. You have to believe. And you have what? The non-believers. Now, non-believer don't make you an atheist. Because I don't believe in your philosophy, don't make me an atheist. I practice a philosophy, not a belief system. There's a difference. And because I follow a philosophy, don't make me an atheist. I believe in God also and a philosophical concept. That's all. That's it. And watch this. Now, because you're not a theist, a believer in practical philosophy, don't make you an atheist. That's my point. Now, amongst you believers, there are differences of opinion. And again, opinions like buttholes and armpits, we all have them, and sometimes they stink. And at certain points in time, when y'all go back and forth with your opinion, there's always going to be a foul odor. That means you're going to have a problem. But your opinion as to what? How to believe. Moving on. This is the source of all your trouble between the damn religions, I told you, and spiritual groups. Religion claim to be spiritual. Spiritual people don't want to become religious. Why? That's the problem right there, okay? And one reason for this is because ordinary religion is deistic. I mean, it's going to tell you. And it's based on traditions and customs, which are what? Themselves based on another culture. And since culture varies from place to place and from time in history to another, there will always be some variation in your spiritual traditions, okay? These differences will always occur, but not only between the cultures, but also even between the same culture, okay? You can have differences. An example, in this is the Orthodox Christianity. I'm going to break down their concept. Christianity with a myriad right there of what? Denominations, over 600 of them. What the hell is that? What? You got the myriad of denominations, and you have a bunch of fundamental changes over the period of this existence of what you call Christianity. First, I'm going to lay out, you got 3 levels. You got the doctrine, you got the early church doctrine, and then you got the later church doctrine. Let's start with the original doctrine. And it says, who is Jesus? Christ? Question mark. Early church doctrine says he's the Savior. Later church doctrine says he's the Son of God. When is Christ returning? This is rich. According to the Christian book, the doctrine asks, when is Christ returning? The early church doctrine says, and my Chuck Jackson was, any day now. You'll be on your way. Yeah, that's a song by Chuck Jackson, but they said Jesus Christ is coming back any day now. And the later church doctrine says, well, nobody knows for certain. They don't know when he was born. They don't know when he's coming back. What do y'all know? I'm just going by the book. What is Christian church? What is the Christian church? It's a group of those who are preparing for Christ's return. That's the early church doctrine. The later church doctrine says those receiving the message of Christianity. These are all y'all philosophical points of view based on y'all, not me. And they ask the question, well, who can be part of the church? Anybody? Only Jews. Christianity, in the original doctrine, where the early church doctrine said the only people who go to church was the Jews. Oh, the later church doctrine says the Gentiles as well as Jews. Excuse me. Last one. Excuse me, I'm drinking that tea. What is the proper way of Christian worship? It's going to be good. The early church doctrine says in the synagogue and the Jewish temples. Christianity in the synagogue. Excuse me. Last one. And that's the doctrine. Original doctrine says, what is the proper way to Christian worship? The early church doctrine says in synagogues and Jewish temples. Later church service says the Christian church is the Christian church and the Christian rituals. That's a religious philosophical concept from the early doctrine, from the original doctrine to the early doctrine to the late doctrine, according to Christian philosophy. But now, let me read on. I got some more. I'm not done. Later, we will see the changes within Indian religion, which are in many ways even more startling. Therefore, those who cling to the idea that religion has to be related to a particular culture and its specific practices or rituals will always have some differences with someone else's conception. If you want to go by your conception, then yeah, it might differ than somebody else's. If you're going by your opinion, it's going to differ from somebody else. But that's not what the lessons and the teachers are for. You to have your opinion, your concept is to learn it, understand it, and then practice it. Moving on. But this point of view, again, may be considered as dogmatic. Yep. Or, for a better term, orthodox. But in the three stages of religion, you have myth. Hello? The first stage of religion is the myth. Second is the ritual. Third is the mysticism. That's what you get when you practice the first two and the way it's done correctly. Something will happen inside you. And culture, what's this? Mysticism, culture belongs to the myth. And ritual stages of religious practice. But in the most elementary level. That means it's just the beginning. It's just to get you started. In the words of Sherlock Holmes, elementary, dear Watson. Now, it is important, an important theme, which will be developed throughout this volume, is what? The understanding of complete religion. Complete. And that is in the three aspects: mythological, ritual, and metaphysical, aka mystical experience. That's the anointing. That's when you and God, that's when you reach God consciousness or Christ consciousness, becoming one with God. That's what they're saying. Y'all don't get that part? How y'all missing that? Oh, I forgot. Y'all still working on elementary concepts. But now, at the first level, watch this. At the first level, you have human beings who learn the stories and traditions of the religion. Everybody know the Jesus story. Everybody know. But it's a myth. Never really happened. Don't get your panties in a bunch. All right. But watch this. Now, at the second level, after they tell you the story, the second level, you practice the rituals. And they are learned how? By practicing. That's how you learn them. You put them into use. Study, you learn. Sunday school, Bible lesson, whatever. But that's what y'all do. And that's the second level. At the third level, and this is what all your good Christians, this is what makes them good Christians. Why? At the third level is of the practitioner, you practicing it correctly and putting your all in it. Now called what? Spiritual aspirant. You raise your conscious level. And now you're led to what? Actually go beyond the myth and the rituals and to what? Attain the ultimate goal of all religions. What's that? What's that? This is an important principle. Why? Because many religions present different aspects of philosophy at different levels. And an uninformed and unintelligent onlooker may label it as what? Primitive or idolatrous, etc. But without having a full understanding of what's going on, those outside looking in, for example, Hinduism got a whole different perspective about God, okay? And ancient Egyptian religion presents you with polytheism and duality, meaning there's a male and a female. They're going to be two opposite, equal opposites. That's the concept of Maya. And watch this. At the first two levels, there is religious practice or religious practice. What happened? However, in order for you to get to mastery at the third level, you have to what? That's the mysticism. That you, the practitioner, have to be made to what? Understand that, listen closely. All of the gods and goddesses that's been worshipped do not exist. In fact, what? You got me going? Hey, calm down. But are in reality aspects of the single transcendental supreme self. God ain't but one. Whatever identify, whatever you call him by any, don't make a difference. It's still one, and that's fine. He ain't gonna problem with that. But this means what? It means that at the mystical level, the third level, when you reach this level of religious practice correctly, now the concept of religion and its attended symbols to get you to understand must also be what? Left behind. Why? Good question. That is to say, transcendent. I mean, you risen past that. You went past that. Now you're in a whole other stratosphere where none of that means anything no more. Why? You becoming one with your higher self. And that mystical discipline, spiritual disciplines we call it, that constitutes what? The technology to get you to where you need to be. Why? You practice it, it'll get you there. Or the means by which the myth, which is the what? And the ritual of religion and the spiritual philosophy now can be developed to its highest level. I did that with my studies of religion, ancient Egyptian philosophy for years. I know my pastor did with the Bible for years, and they both work. So I don't have a problem with people getting to God on their terms. That's what I'm saying. Let me wrap it up for you. Now, in contrast, the Orthodox religions present images as if they are in fact mundane realities, but as well as what? Transcendental realities. By definition, idolatry is the what? Presentation, again, of an image of the divine, excuse me, sorry about that, of God as if it is what? A reality. We know better. Therefore, Orthodox traditions are the true idolatry. Why you say that? Because in the mystical religions, why? Because since they do not ascribe absolute or abiding qualities to their images as not to be adulterous. The cross that y'all signify represent, no, we represented God by a circle with a dot. We represented God by the key of life with the concept, male, female, and offspring. We symbolize it not to make it God. We knew that. Y'all, on the other hand, look at it a little different. Now let me take it home. The myth is a fluid language of the unconscious mind. Remember, tradition, practice, rituals is to put a stain on the brain and put understanding in the heart that you will put forth the effort, that you will make that myth become reality. Why? Because you practicing it. You're making it manifest. That's why. And if you believe in God, you're going to do the things that they try to do to manifest what? Your connection with God. Moving on. A myth is the fluid language. It is the language of concept. I'm the conceptionist. I say all day in conception. Like, why? After I learn, after I read, I absorb information, I download it. I can put this with that. That's conceptualizing. That's what I'm good at, okay? And that's what all religions are good at also. Good story, the good lesson is the good story that everybody can identify with. Some days I get a bunch of people. Some days I get a little bit. Why? Because the topic or whatever you're talking about, some people interested, some people not. I get it. I understand. To me, they're all lessons in life. Let's go. Let me wrap this up for you. I think the clock, Jesus Christ. Now, myths. Okay, well, there. Myths is fluid language. It is the language of concepts, right? Which are theistic, and it represents through what? Symbols, themes, legends, traditions, folklore, heritage, and a philosophy that contains all that's contained in a myth to get you to understand. And myths are representations of what? A higher transcendental spiritual experience. We're human beings here that had a human experience, but we're spiritual beings internally. So we need to wake up and realize we're not human beings, we're spiritual beings. That's God. These representations are manifestations of what? Intuitional truths. It's in you. You just have to bring it out. Again, he gave us everything we need. Our job is to figure it out. He even gave us that to do it with. And that that truth that are mirrored in what? In your unconscious mind. As the transcendent spirit projects itself into time and space. Remember the I concept? He put the spirit into creation. It got caught up in, like all of us do now, got caught up in believing what? We're human and we serve ourselves, not our higher self. But to wake up to who we really are, that's the key to get out the loop of reincarnation. And it's done by myths. Excuse me. Now, as it relates to something outwardly, the language of myth is necessarily what? Free from the encumbrance of what? Histocracy. Race, politicals, economics, genders, or even cultures. It had no bearing. It don't care about that. It's just to prove a point. Thus, the cultural manifestations of spiritual concepts are not the meaning or the essence of the myth. You manifesting through the story that you're told, and through your efforts and understanding, you manifest. But rather, it is a mode of what? Manifestation. Again, religion trying to get you to manifest yourself to be a better person. And within that concepts are not the meaning, with that concepts are particular culture. And accordingly, myths is the highest interchangeable in a way that the written word is not. You can finagle with the myth. You can make it do what you want to do. You can present it any way you want. The word is the word. You can't do that with the word. I understand that. And this is what? This is why concepts, that's what I specialize in, are more easily communicated. I can serve it any way I want. In between what? Communicated between people who what? Who speak a different language. Then translated words. Concepts is closely to what? Reality than words. The more a concept is conceptualized and codified, interpreted as historical events, that's what y'all believe. The stories like, no, it's just a story. Or made into what? dogmatic teaching, you're going to emphasize this and you impose it on the culture. Right there. If you ain't a Christian, you're wrong. If you ain't a Muslim, you ain't this. What the Jews don't care what you are. Jews don't care. See, they ain't caught up in that. So their power, watch this. So the power to what? Communicate the transcendental nature of self is what? Subverted. The Jews ain't caught up in that. They got the tradition, they got the philosophy that they live by. They ain't caught up in God, heaven, all that nonsense. Okay? Why is that? They practice what the tradition is and it's been serving them for generations. Then, watch this. Then myth becomes what? A whipping tool. I told you that book is the new slavery for your mind. They don't need to whip you and chain you. They got you all hook, line, and single with religion. Again, it's a whipping tool to what? To use against political, religious, or social enemies. At this level, true religion cannot be practiced. It's false. It's bogus. Why? Because the myth degrades to what? The level of dogmatism. You got to follow this, which expresses a narrow-mindedness. Again, if you ain't us, you're the enemy. A social pride. We Christians, okay? Nationalism, sexism, prejudice, intolerance, and more important, racism. And consequently, it is an important and at times a matter of life, peace, and death war to understand the deeper psychological and spiritual nature of the purpose of the myth. This is supposed to get you to be a better person. The philosophy of spiritual transcendence and enlightenment through the mythic living. The myth did not begin the dawn of dynastic period. Why? In ancient Egypt history, the evidence from ancient texts and the history of Manetho show what? That the ancient Egyptian history, which is known and written about in modern times, is only descendants of a much more ancient era of the Comitian civilization. We know it as Ethiopia, which began what? Many thousands of years before dynastic era in Egypt. The ancient Egyptian sages recognized that the concept of a supreme being cannot be circumscribed by one image or symbol, and thus you have many more who were used, but also the symbols of other people were recognized and respected as well. Manifestation of the same reality. God manifests in everything here. They understood that thousands of years ago. When they took it and started making God theirs in a way, that's the mental prison, the spiritual knowledge that they got you right now under. Y'all love that Bible. I have no use for it. I understand it. I respect it, but I don't use it. I got to God through wisdom and knowledge and understanding and living right. That's what I teach. That's what I know. So, in closing, right thinkers, I hope you got the concept of myth. Nobody in the Bible ever existed. They're mythical stories, allegorical stories to get you to understand to be a better you, and that the church family I'm with is doing fine. They using it to a T. So understand that. I got no problem with you. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. In closing, right? Oh Lord, right thinkers, may you let it be 100, me 100 minus that day. So I never want to know that my right thinkers and my religious followers have passed away. It's all mythological. That makes it mental. Get it?